So welcome everybody to the May Tech Talk, where we have Corey and Tristan from IPA Books Plus, otherwise known as Reckon. We're going to learn today about particularly Reckon 1, is that right, fellas? And the modules that are available, and also how that works for AAT IPA members with IPA Books Plus. So we'll hear a bit more about that. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Joe. First of all, thanks everyone for taking the time to actually join us today and I guess have a look at Books Plus with us. As Joe sort of touched on, Books Plus is a white labeled version of Reckon 1. So if anyone's used Reckon 1 before, obviously perhaps not Books Plus being an IPA member exclusive sort of white labeled version of it, but sort of love to hear about that. So, you know, normally I would ask for show of hands, but if you want to maybe just pop a comment in the chat box, just sort of say, yes, if you've used Reckon 1 before or been a Reckon, seen Reckon 1 at all, that'll be awesome to see. But I'm just going to share some slides at the moment, just to first of all quickly run through the philosophy behind Books Plus as a product and how it can really sort of benefit you as well as your clients and all the sort of different networks that you'll be interacting with in your work as an accounting technician. After that, I'm going to hand over to Corey, who's going to jump into the software itself for a quick live demo, and we can have a look at how the software actually works. And of course, feel free to pop in any questions you have that come up as we get through, and we'll address them as we go along. So as I sort of said just now, I want to touch on the philosophy behind Books Plus as a product and how it sort of breaks down the common one-size-fits-all approach to cloud accounting software. Now, again, sorry, this is a slide introducing myself and Corey. Forgot that was in there. All right, now, the problem with cloud accounting itself is not a problem that's actually exclusive to cloud accounting. Take something like your mobile phone plan, which I'm sure most, if not everyone here is paying for, something like that. Or even something like your health insurance, where you're paying a sort of regular subscription fee for a service. And within that subscription fee, you get a certain level of inclusions. You know, again, with a mobile phone, you're probably getting X gigabytes of data. Perhaps you're getting unlimited calls, unlimited texts, international calls if you're lucky. And maybe a few other little bonuses like, free streaming and all those sorts of things. However, sometimes you might not actually need all those things. You just need one of them, So say there's a package that comes with it, 50 gigabytes of data, but it includes international phone calls, and perhaps you're someone with family overseas. So you want international phone calls, but you don't need that much data. So you sort of start to think, well, if only I could modularize this and actually just pick and choose the things I need and exclude the things I don't. And this translates into some of the cloud accounting products that we see on the market, where a lot of the times yourself and your clients will be paying high monthly fees for products that are, at the end of the day, cluttered with excessive features, which are oftentimes targeted towards big businesses, which then leads to a distinct lack of personalization for small businesses, micro businesses, sole traders, all those sorts of types, not-for-profits, charities, anyone who might have sort of more flexible needs or requirements from their software. And the reason that is because these software are designed with the one-size-fits-all approach. And as was fairly aptly stated by Thomas Peters, one size never fits all, one size fits one, period. Now, originally that was said in an HR setting when discussing employees and that sort of thing. However, it very clearly sort of translates into this scenario as well. So in addressing this one-size-fits-all sort of dilemma within the market, this is where we introduce Books Plus. So here's a quick image of the main dashboard of a Books Plus screen. However, the way that it addresses this problem is through its modular structure. Now, what that means is that when you start with Books Plus, you can start with only the core module, and that just includes your day-to-day accounting. So your cash flow in and out, make payments, track GST, create budgets, as well as producing reports, as well as doing manual bank reconciliation and a few other functions. From there, you can add on any one of our other 6 modules. So they include our Invoices module, direct bank feeds, Payroll, which actually can also be used standalone without the core module. So for $8 a month, you can just have that Payroll STP solution. You can also create timesheets with the track time module, which also feed into the Payroll module, employee expense management, as well as jobs and projects management. So again, you can mix and match, upgrade, downgrade at any point in time, depending on you and your client's needs. Now, this flexible approach just allows you to sort of, first of all, tailor what you're seeing in your software. Again, for some businesses where single touch payroll 2 years ago, when that became a thing for small businesses, that was the first time they were looking at computerized software. And for some of these bigger sort of packages, it meant that they were very overwhelmed with just a lot of information and a lot of things that they weren't used to or comfortable with. So using just Books Plus with just a payroll module could be a nice way to ease them into computerized accounting. From there, they can expand to the other modules as their business grows or as their comfort grows with the software. Say they only need to invoice once a quarter, they can just switch that on and off as they need it. It just allows a little bit of flexibility that oftentimes you can't find with other things on the market. So another thing as well is that there's less clutter, as I just mentioned, but there's also less dependency on additional features. Again, thinking about someone who's just using that payroll module, when they go and actually set up their file, they're not going to need to go and set up, all the ledgers and all the background work for a full business. They just need to be setting up things relevant to payroll. And that goes across all the other modules as well. Depending what modules you have activated, you're not going to need to be setting up things in the back end for anything that's not dependent on the work that you're doing. Of course, that then leads to a more streamlined day-to-day workflow. And that also translates into how your workflow is with other parties. So being in the cloud, one of the great benefits is ease of access for multiple parties. So you as a accounting technician or as a bookkeeper, as a BAS agent, you can share the books directly with your clients. You can share it with their accountants. You can share it with any other relevant staff members or colleagues that might need access for any reasons. And the permissions system is actually very flexible. So you can sort of really go down to the micro detail of who can manage what, who can edit what, who can look at what. And so if there are people who only need to be doing specific functions, that can definitely be set up. And again, one of the great benefits of being in the cloud is that you can access Books Plus anywhere and anytime on any device with an internet browser and internet access. And just sort of continuing on the motion of cloud connectivity and the benefits. One great thing is that Books Plus can connect into a whole range of other applications that you and your clients may already be using in your day-to-day business dealings. So this is either through direct integrations or through integration to what's called the Zapier marketplace, where essentially if we integrate into Zapier and another application integrates into Zapier, we can integrate together through that connection. So through that, we have, I believe, around 1,500 applications that you can integrate with and set up your own rules to have information imported into Books Plus for all your accounting needs. So that can be anything from things like Salesforce or MailChimp for marketing and CRM information, to Gmail for any emails, Pinch or Square for payments, and as well another one that isn't actually on this list here, but also Receipt Bank, now called Dext. We just integrated with around a year ago now. So that's been really, really handy as well for a lot of clients and IPA members and other sort of bookkeepers and accountants who do have clients using Receipt Bank. So just to get that into their accounting software. So specifically to what it means to you as sort of IPA or accounting technician members, essentially you do have the ability to sign up as a cloud advisor. And what that gets you is, first of all, the potential to earn CPD credits. Now, this either comes through our online training academy, which is a full structured certificate course running through Books Plus as the software, all the different modules, and all these sorts of different things. And upon completion of that certificate, you can get 20 CPD hours. It doesn't actually take 20 hours, so it is a nice little hour boost if that's something that you're after. On top of that, we also have some other commission systems. So if you do hit 50 clients within the system, I receive 50% of your annual membership fee credited towards CPD. And if you hit 100 clients, then you get 100% of your annual membership fee credited towards CPD as well. We also have dedicated member and client support. So myself, I'm an account manager across New South Wales and Western Australian members. Of Corey, who I'll pass over in a few minutes. He is a customer success manager for members in Victoria, Tasmania. And so that means for any inquiries you have around your account, you'll be able to come to your relevant BDM, or you'll be able to go to your relevant CSM for any training or ongoing sort of support inquiries that you might be after, help onboarding any new clients, etc. I briefly touched on the training academy just now. We also have ongoing training and events throughout the year. And again, those are sort of things running through the certificate course, as well as other updates, for example, if there's anything new in the system or anything new in legislation that needs to be covered, we usually run those. And those webinars are usually also posted online afterwards. But being that face-to-face is starting to become a thing again, we are aiming to run some more face-to-face events as well. And overall, the biggest thing that Books Plus means for you is that you can collaborate better, because your client accounts are linked directly to you. They're linked directly to their accountants. Everyone's sort of connected, and information, or no one's waiting on information from anyone. You can always sort of get on with your work because you've all got equal access to that information. So again, I touched on a little bit about the account management and customer success teams, and a bit more about the training academy. You'll find a lot of online resources to help get started, as well as to sort of self-help along the way within Books Plus. We do have quick start guides online, as well as end user tutorials through our online help center, which again, you can sort of go in and search for just about anything and have a how-to system how to do that, as well as those free educational webinars, both live and pre-recorded, either on the Training Academy or on our YouTube site, I believe. So again, just to quickly summarize everything, the greatest benefit of joining Books Plus is that it is a completely modern accounting technology solution. So for things like single touch payroll, you can get compliance very easily and very flexibly as well. So that translates into its affordability. Because of the flexibility, it allows you to really sort of control what you're paying for, control what you're using, and just puts you in the driver's seat a lot more when it comes to actually choosing what you're doing with your accounting. It's simple and easy to use. So as Corey was about to jump into, you'll be able to see how the interface actually works. It is based off a general web design. If you have used other sort of cloud accounting systems, you may be familiar with the general philosophy of how things are designed, because at the end of the day, they're all sort of relatively similar in that regard. And again, touching on that, it is all online. So again, if you used other cloud systems, anywhere, anytime, with an internet access, you can get onto your books. We also are backed by the strongest data security we can get. So all your data is stored in Australia. Books Plus is fully developed in Australia. And we do keep everything with bank level encryption security through Amazon Web Services. So everything, you're not going to get subjected to any international data laws or anything. Nothing to worry about there. Everything does remain within Australia. So with that, I'd love to quickly just take a minute. If anyone's got any questions about any of that, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A box or in the chat box. I will hand over to Corey now, who will jump into the system itself. And yeah, any questions that come up, feel free to pop them in and I'll answer them as we go.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Tristan. Just let me go and share my screen. Just let me, have I got the right one here? There we go. All right. Hopefully you guys are seeing Books Plus there at the moment. Yep. Excellent. So what I'm looking at here is the portal. So when we first log in as a portal, yourselves as cloud advisors, you're going to see all your clients in one place. So it's just quickly and easily you can work on those. And as Tristan was talking about the different modules that we've got available, you can see from the books that I've got in there, there's quite a mix on what is available on each of those books that I've got there. And it's that mix and match. So I've got some that have got everything on, some that have got most on, some are just sort of payroll, a couple of different features within there as well too. When you're adding books as a partner, so as a cloud advisor, you can easily add books on behalf of your clients. And when you're doing that process, you can choose who's going to pay for it, whether it's yourself or the client that's going to be paying for that, and then go through and selecting those products. Let me just, there we go. So you can see I've got this here, and it's giving me that option down the bottom there to choose who will pay for that. So you're not going to be lumped with those subscriptions. You can easily have that paid by your clients, which is a great way to do that. If you're paying for it initially, we've always got the option to transfer that ownership to your clients as well too, especially if in the case of you guys might part ways as well too. As Tristan said, there's no lock-in on those modules as well. We can mix and match them as we go. So if you want to add features on, take features off, you can always do that throughout the year as well too. And very easy to go and share that with other parties. Just going to jump into a book that I've already got created here. Your Backyard Paradise. I've got sick of using, you probably saw it on my other screen, Smashed Ovo Cafe, being the good Melburnian I am. It's sort of always been a running joke in Melbourne, but I've sort of swapped over to something that's a little bit different now. Not the least because I'm trying to buy a house as well too. So this is my dashboard, and I'm seeing links and alerts and things that are important to me as the person logging in. Users that have access to the book have different levels of what they can and can't see. So if someone doesn't have access to payroll or to the invoices and that sort of thing, they're not going to see things like payroll, income, net position. So an employee that just needs to go in and do timesheets, for example, they're not going to see stuff you don't want them to see about the business. So some of the key things that I'm going to sort of talk to you about from what you guys do from your point of view is things like the payroll, banking. I'm going to have a look at the projects, the time, and I'll touch on the invoicing as well as at the end of it all. So with the banking, we've got direct feeds from the major banks in there, and then we can get a lot of the other banks through the Yodlee service, and coming soon later this year, open banking is going to be coming in here as well too, which is it's a government thing, so it's just opening, giving more access to banks, and they've all got to comply with having it more open so they can send that data quickly and easily. I've got some transactions in this file that I've already created, so everything's in there already. You'll see I've already got some transaction rules created, so it's creating some matches for me, and I'm going to talk about rules in just a moment. It's also showing me some things like accepted matches for things like wages in there as well. So the other thing that we might see if I scroll on down, I know there's one down here, the bottom here somewhere, a suggested match for an invoice that I've said that's been paid. I'm going to click on that just to clean this up, and so then we can see a few of the other things going on here. So something like income, we've got a couple of ways we can sort of deal with those. We can allocate a receipt, and if it's something that's just a cash or something like that, I can just quickly and easily pick the customer and choose the account that I want that to go to. Something like another one down here, just moving down a little bit. This is an invoice that's being paid. I can pick that up, and as I mentioned before, there was one that I picked up and I've marked it on the invoice as paid, so therefore it's becoming a suggested match. But if you haven't done that, we can always do a detailed receipt, and we can pick that up from that list. And there's my open invoice there, so I can grab that out. I can do part payments, payments across multiple invoices as well too. So that's then clearing that off this bank transactions screen. Transfer to a savings from the savings account. I'm just allocating that transfer, where that's come from, and just clears that off too. A couple of wages it'll pick up in a moment as well too, when we finalise a pay run. But I'll look at here that I've got a motor vehicle insurance. I can allocate that. I can send that straight to this, like I did with the income before. Pick a contact, pick the account. But if there's a GST component, you know how GST is not 1/11th on this, I can come in here and I can pick that up. And let's just pick up default contact under the new. And when I'm picking up the insurance side, well, I'm just going to use the general insurance now for a moment. Let's just say there's $50 there. I know these figures are quite wildly out there for the value of there, but I can then just for make it quick and easy on this, and I can do that as $12.30 for the GST free component. So that's then pick that up. Now, something like the mower center, I can create a rule for that. So creating that rule, I'm using it and I'm just giving it a quick and easy name there. And I'm defining how I want the system to look for that. All of these words, any of these words are exact wording. So I'm wanting it to say all of these words. So it needs to have the words mower and center in it, not just mower, because I might have something else in there. The reference day and type aren't really important for me, but they could be depending on what you're doing. One thing I just forgot to mention with the description, you want to be very specific but generic at the same time. It is a little bit of an art to do that as you go through, but things like how it was paid, dates, reference numbers, don't include those. Amount, I can choose at any amount equal to, more than or equal to. So different ways I can look for different things within there. Picking up my contact, and if the contact's not there, you can always add that very quickly and easily. And I've got my repairs account sitting there. It can also be split by a percentage or a dollar amount too. If something like a telephone, if you need to split that with a private use percentage, or you might want to have the first X dollars of the telephone bill goes to the internet expense account, the rest goes to telephone, you can do that too. So we've got flexibility around that rule. So we've now picked up a few more of those. That's clearing them off nice and easily. And again, these wages ones will finalize when I finalize a pay run. And then there's just a payment for landscaping, which is just like the income one I did before. I can allocate across to the account, or if I look for under the detailed, I'm going to see that there is there's a bill open in there. If I had have marked that bill as a paid bill, it would have come up as a suggested match. Now, where all those transactions have gone is over to the Books Plus transaction screen. So if I've realized I've put something in the wrong spot, I can always come in here and edit that before I go any further in there, so I can make any changes. And of course, then we've got the reconciliation at the end of everything as well too. So it's just a matter of popping in the closing balance. Now, the best part with bank feeds and that sort of thing, as you've ticked things off from this bank transaction screen and it's moved over, you're basically reconciling and ticking everything off. So this reconciliation here really is just confirming that balance. So so there's not a lot we sort of need to do. I'm just going to do a bit of a cheat on this. I know I've got 2 transactions that I haven't actually picked up just yet, but let's just go into that so we can just sort of have a bit of a look at that one there. Saturday's perfectly fine for me. So then it's going to show all those transactions, and then if there's anything missing in there, and some of these have been picked up, and I can work my way through all of those. Okay, now things like transaction rules and that, they're appearing under here, so you can always go and modify those as need be, so they're not locked into the into what you've got. You can modify them around as we go. Moving on over into, I won't go to payroll just yet. I'm actually going to go and jump into just the invoices. I'm just going to very quickly touch on an invoice in here for the moment. So I've got a few in there as well already. Let's look at an older one within here. So for Phoenix Logistics Industries. So I've got an invoice here for the lawn maintenance that we've done, and we've got this project option here. So when I pick up a project, I can add a project to any invoices. It's line by line, so I can have multiple projects within an invoice, and I can have that project available to me. It's on the invoices, receive money, bills, make payment, even on the payroll as well too. So I can add that in there, and then I can do reporting on that that project as well. Projects are like job costing, so it's just giving me that extra information that I can see from within there. These can be set as a recurring. I can make copies, I can email them out, I can modify that template around as well too, from some standard ones and that information that we've got on there. So there's a lot we can do there. We've also got estimates, and estimates at a click of a button can be converted to an invoice as well too. So there's no rekeying or anything through that. Bills is working exactly the same in the opposite side. just going to leave that one there for the moment. Yeah, so the bills are sitting there. I can pick them up. The difference on the bills is I can actually attach up to 3 files to a bill or a receive payment, which is just your money in, money out transactions. And 3 files up to 10 megabytes per file, so 30 megabytes in total, and various types, so doc, Excel, PDF, photos, that sort of thing I can attach on there as well too. So it gives me quite a bit of flexibility. Okay, so when I mentioned just projects a moment ago, so the project side, I've got 2 in here. Let's look at one here, the Perth Place Common Area. It's giving an estimated position of the income and expenses relating to that and the position of that project as well too. So it's giving me quite a bit of flexibility through there. I can report on that. I can have sub projects as well too. So something that belongs to a main project. So you might have a development. You're doing 3 houses on one block of land, and you can have townhouse 1, 2, 3. But there's an overall project as well too for the whole thing. So I can break it down and do that detail. When I come to reporting in a moment, we're going to have a quick look at that side there. Timesheets is another thing in here. So timesheets, I've got some in here already that I've already created. Let's just have a look at Melissa's here. We've got a day view, or we also do have a week view. I'm just going to fill in that Melissa's worked 4 hours on the Friday as well too. Now, I've given her the option to put in the pay item. That can also be done by the person that's approving that. Again, projects customers are available and billable if need be, if you want to invoice that to a customer. So I can save this, and very quickly and easily, Melissa would submit that, goes up the chain. Now I'm logged in as one and the same person, so I'm actually going to approve that as well too. And it can be sent back to sent back if need be. If you do decline it, you can put in a reason why it is being declined. But let's just approve that. So now that I've approved that, that timesheet data is now available when I do a pay run. So if I go into the pay runs, let me just clear that off. Now, before I do go into the pay runs, let's just have a quick look at the employees. Let's have a look at Melissa in here, for example. So the standard stuff you would expect to find within here, capturing all everything that we need. We've got something called pay schedules in here. So it just speeds it up because it's a bucket for the employee. So when you're doing a pay run, you just grab your schedule, which has got the employees that you want to pay in that week. And you can have multiple schedules for a week, or you can split them out between areas in a business they work in and that sort of thing as well too. Things like hire date, bank account details as well. Tax side, we can do the tax file number declaration, electronic lodgement as well too. Any extra tax that can be taken out as well. Any of the STSS, STSL loans, that sort of thing. And of course, things like leave tracking as well. Melissa's not entitled to any leave being a part-time employee, casual employee. So I haven't included that there, and I've got my pay set up there hourly on an ordinary basis. We can have things like bonuses, or if you can use salary, you can, allowances, deductions, and supers appearing in there. So it's quite full featured as well. When I look at a pay run, let's go and create that pay run, add that in, and I want to do my pays. Here's the timesheet data, so I'm ticking that, and let's create that pay run. Schedule timesheet data, and if I drill into that, I can see Melissa's sitting here with her 16 hours from the timesheet at her hourly rate, and it's gone through, picked everything up, and paid for the paid the super guarantee as well, or calculated the super guarantee, I should say. Moving it on back one step, Tim is a salaried employee. Ordinary, 38 hours a week. Basically is on a salary, but we can see a leave summary there of what his leaves tracking and what his balance is. So I've got that there if he needs to take any allowances as well too. So now I can finish that pay run quickly and easily. finalize that. I can email that. If I've realized an error, I can undo that pay run. Now, when it comes to it, of course, single touch payroll, that data will come down into this single touch payroll area. And what happens in here, it shows, it appears in there, the year-to-date amounts, and we send it to a separate program called Gov Connector STP, and that is the bridge we use to send the data to the ATO. I will show you that in a moment, so I'm not jumping back in and out of presentations, because just a couple of other things I want to show you in this one. Before I go into the reporting, just timesheets. I mentioned timesheets with customers before that can be built out. I've just got one here that they've done some work on different customers. The item, I've ticked the box that it's billable, and this has all been approved. So when I go in and go and do a timesheet for the customer, let's add an invoice in, sorry, do an invoice for the customer, pick up Meanix Logistics. It's showing me the consulting that's available. I can add that onto the invoice, and then I can go and bill that out straight away. So it is an easy way that I can get that information on. And we have got options as well too. If I just cancel that and I just re-add that, because we've got 3 consulting lines there. We don't necessarily always want that. So if I look at the options under here, I've got my timesheets preference. I can combine timesheet items with the same item and rate. So if I'm not wanting to sort of see that line by line, there's my markup account. They would then consolidate into one, and it's just going to show the total in there. Okay, let's go back into the other book that I've got here. Just going to go and have a look at there's a couple of other little things in here. I spoke about the reporting. So we can do budgets as well, unlimited budgets, report center. We don't like limits like payroll, no limits on the number of employees in that $8 a month. Report center, comprehensive list of reports, and I've made a few a favorite in here as well. And one thing I do like, if I right click on this generate button, it allows me to generate it in another tab. So therefore I can then continue what I'm doing and I'm not losing that report. So my profit and loss report sitting there, I can see how that's all tracking for the year. I can modify that to then, I can remove things like the code. I can add in a dollar variance because I can compare that to last financial year. And let's refresh, and I can see tracking on how each year is against each year. And of course, my dummy data is always going to be a little bit wonky. But I mentioned the projects before. When I come into this area, I can pick up Perth Place projects. Let's just get rid of that comparative period. Perth Place common area, refresh that option. So then I can see a breakdown of any of the income and expenses relating to the project for the Perth Place common area. So it's giving that extra detail on that job reporting as well. As I mentioned, things like payroll summary reports, when you're doing the BASs as well too, I can then, let's just do the whole year on this one, it's a bit easier. Tax code exceptions, so things that don't have a tax code on it. Other ones that I've got available in here under tax are things like the GST summary, tax code transactions, which break things down per tax code. So I can do that, that review. And I can then pick up and see if the things are in the right space within that. If I have a quick look down into the customers, we've got our standard, and the same with suppliers, age debtors, debtor transaction report showing each transaction. But one I quite like, it's actually hiding under the analytics, is things like the debtor and creditor summary. When I generate these, this was the best one I've had of these, looking at this for a while. It's giving a visual representation of what is outstanding, because sometimes numbers on a page aren't always resonating with a business owner, but when you show it like that, there's this big whack of 50%, even though it's $240, is making up half of that, or even, you know, anything over 60 days is making up a good chunk of all of that. It can have more of an impact for them to chase up those outstanding bills or invoices. And of course, we do BAS and taxable payments as well too. It doesn't lodge it, it just creates a report so it can then be lodged to the ATO. Now, I mentioned single touch payroll being lodged through Gov Connect, and I'm just going to go and show you how that looks and where that is there. So on the main portal screen, we've got the Gov Connect. So when I launch that Gov Connect, it asks me which client I'd like to open. When I go into that, this one is Smashed Over Cafe. I knew I just couldn't not use it today. I've got it there, the number of employees I'm submitting through, and it's a year to date. You'll notice I can just click on submit. Well, there is a detail button. That detail button will list those 2 employees with all the information that they have within there, and I can send them off, or I can go further detail. So someone like, well, Harvey's not even an employee on the other one, but it's more for, I want to show you what the Tfn Declaration is. It's just got a date there and just throwing some extra information in, because everything I've entered in is on that. So we haven't made a special form. We've just enabled a box to send that data through. So I can see that breakdown of everything for Harvey, send everyone off to the ATO, sign the declarations, digital signing within there. And we always want to see the success. It does take a few minutes or sometimes longer, up to 48 hours for the ATO to process things, or it'll come back with an error message and we need to investigate that. But hopefully always going to be a success. And this is the same way that we will submit the end of financial year information as well too. So that's that little bit of a snapshot of how Books Plus is. We can always do more detail on that and do full-on demos and a bit more information, but we encourage you to jump in, have a play around, have a look at it. There is a demo book available within the product to have a play with, along with the free book that you get as a cloud advisor. I'll throw back to Trish to do the little bit of Tristan to do a bit of a wrap up there. So yeah.
Thanks, Corey. We did just have one question come through that I thought I might leave for you to quickly touch on from Cameron. He was just asking, I believe it was when we were looking at the bank feeds and bank transactions, why would you use the ignore for now sort of option against a transaction match?
Yeah, I purposely ignore talking about that as well too, because I don't like it. So, ignore for now. What all the ignore for now does is it hides that transaction from that screen. So let me just skip back in there just so I can have a look at that now. So everyone can sort of see that visual. You can see those wages ones have picked up. If I was to ignore for that, it disappears off that screen. The transaction is not reconciled. I still need to deal with it. So if I tried to reconcile my bank at the moment, I'd actually be out by $1,074. So the ignore for now might just clean it up so you don't want to look at it while you're trying to deal with other transactions. But at some point, you do need to deal with that transaction for your bank to reconcile. So that's why I don't really talk about it. I don't like it. It's just hiding the transaction, but you need to bring it back by clicking the show ignored at some point to deal with that as well too. It doesn't like send it into a suspense account or anything. It is just hiding it from that screen. So it's, yeah, that's all it is there, Cameron.
Good. Cheers, Corey. And just had one more question come through from Deborah asking why is it called IPA Books Plus when it's already known as Reckon One? Yeah, so it's basically just a collaboration between Reckon and the IPA. So there's a white labeled version, and as sort of touched on in that earlier part of the presentation, there are a few member specific benefits that sort of come by being a member, an IPA member using Books Plus as opposed to just using Reckon One. So it is just another avenue to sort of to reach IPA members and help IPA members get their clients on board with a software that is branded for the body itself. Not quite sure about your question about unpresented checks, Deborah, but you're on the last slide, Corey, there. Yeah.
Unpresented checks. So it's a tough one because, you know, it's I don't know. Well, I'm just trying to think about it. Not really, because we're sort of pushed, I suppose, checks are old school. Let's be honest with it. I've got my accounting career. I've worked with checks for a long time. I know people still use them, so they're an old school thing there. Unpresented checks, yeah, not easy to sort of deal with, but yeah, we've sort of, I suppose, I don't know why we've sort of forgotten about them really, to be honest. So, yeah, unpresented payments as well too. An unpresented payment, I suppose they would, they're going to come through and yeah.
Wouldn't you just
something we can specifically look at? Sorry, Joe.
Wouldn't you just see those lines when you go to do your bank reconciliation?
Yeah, it's because it's when it's presented. Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. You would see it in there. I suppose it's something we could take offline and look at in more detail on a case by case.
No, you don't. So Deborah's saying you don't. So, okay, so you have to publish a reconciliation with a note to say this payment is unpresented as at the reconciliation date. So there's nothing. Sounds like you have to make a manual note of that rather than the system.
Yeah.
Reporting it that way.
Yeah. And I know why it's happening. Another place I've worked at, another software company back in the day, I championed for a change in it for unpresented payments to go through because I had a big client on accruals basis that was wanting to, they'd had future dated transactions in their bank account, but wanted included the current period of BAS and that sort of thing. So yeah, they were wanting to do that, but yeah, we don't, but yeah, I can sort of see that sort of need there. Yeah.
All good. Deborah, do feel free to sort of get in touch with with any of us at the team. So our emails. I think Corey, there should be one last slide there. I think it's got my email on there.
Yeah. I just saw in the chat there was one. Does it work with real estate clients like for an integration?
Yeah.
I don't know if is there one on Zapier? We haven't got a direct integration, but that could be through the Zapier side. So
I'm not sure. Yeah, that'd be something to check out.
We can check on that one for you, Shirley. So.
All good. But thank you everyone again for your time, for listening to us and having a look through Books Plus with us. My email is there. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or inquiries around Books Plus, any questions about anything we presented today, or if there's any sort of follow-up we can sort of have, any conversation we can take from here. Yeah, thank you again.
I've just got a couple of questions.
Yep. Sure.
So, Corey, what you showed us in the demo, how many modules was that? I mean, obviously you had payroll and you had the basic one. Was there any others, like is projects included in the basic model, for example?
No, so projects is a module on its own. So this demo book I've got, Your Backyard Paradise, does have every module turned on.
Yep.
So if I down here,
so if we were to activate every available module, so you've got your $8 basic and then $4 per module, what's the maximum cost that we'd be looking at?
Yeah, so the maximum there is $50 a month. So you can see some of the modules have different levels, a light or a medium, and it's just functionality in there. Like something like invoices, it's the ability to have, I need the medium level to have timesheet data appear in an invoice. Same with payroll. It's not limits on employee numbers or anything, but the maximum is $50 a month that you would pay for everything in there.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. And is Gov Connect something that only integrates, like, is it built into Reckon products and only integrates with Reckon products? I mean, I'm not familiar with it, so, or is it a standalone product? And, people, I don't want to divert too much into that, but just to give us an idea of, is that a Reckon only integrated?
Yeah, it is a Reckon only integrated product. We built it because we've for Books Plus. So at Reckon, we've got about eight payroll products that we needed to do STP for. So the simple way was to create, especially for our desktop users, create one platform that sent the data. So if you were using a desktop product, you would then be able to send a Gov Connector, send that data to the ATO. So that's just sort of where it's rolled out across them. And hopefully in the future, it'll be more than just STP data, like things like BASs and that sort of thing. But it is a reckon only product, and yeah, sitting in Books Plus for sending that data. So if you do, when you're picking up your software provider sort of thing, you have to use Reckon, not Books Plus, as the provider in that one, with the ABN there for that.
And could you just tell us a little bit more about the CPD points? You know, if we activate this product through IPA membership, and I can put a link in the chat box for that. But yeah, just tell us a little bit more about how that works and what sort of time. Like you said, you get 20 hours credit, but it doesn't take you 20 hours. So how much time does it take? You know, give us a little overview of that process.
Yeah, I'll touch on that. So with the training academy itself, basically, as I said, yeah, as you mentioned as well, 20 CPD hours on completion of the whole certificate course. So that's got, I think it's about 6 modules within the course, the entire course. Is that right, Corey? 6? Yeah.
Yeah.
And on average,
yeah,
on average, it should take about an hour and a half to complete. I know overall, if people I speak to take anywhere from sort of 6 to 8 hours to sort of run through it all. Obviously, you don't have to do it all at once. But yeah.
And that's learning how to use the product.
Essentially, yes. Yeah. So it runs through the sort of, so that's where you'll sort of find the Smash to have a cafe sort of thing, where it does give you, I guess, an example company. You can sort of run through, have a training book alongside the training academy as well, and sort of run through actually practically using things within the book and learning it that way.
Yeah. And is it necessary to do that before you bring a client on, or you know, is that sort of a bonus for learning and CPD, or could you, for example, sign up and get a client on board today without doing any of that?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's definitely normally something I'd say recommend, especially if someone's going to be using a wide range of the modules that they're going to be, comprehensively using it for a particular business. We'll sort of recommend going through the training academy, because it is a good way to sort of practically work on it and understand everything. But definitely you can just sort of go in, activate it with your IPA member number, and then, onboard a client and set everything up. Again, we've got a lot of how-tos on our help center, as well as the YouTube videos. And then depending where you are in Australia, you'll have a relevant customer success manager or BDM who can also assist in getting things set up and running. So.
Great. All right. Well, let's just see if there's any final questions from anybody. I'm not seeing anything typed in yet. Oops, I've just raised my hand, but I don't need to do that. Yeah, before we finish up, has anybody got any further questions? As usual, this is recorded and it will go up online, and I will put some contact details on the website as well for anyone who wants to listen again, or anyone who's missed it today. So, well, it looks like there's no further questions. So we might say thank you both, Corey and Tristan. Great demonstration. Great to have the modules available. I mean, I think it's a really great model, especially for, it's sole traders or micro business starting out, and they don't need all the bells and whistles. And this could be a great thing for starting out, scaling up. Looks great. And I love the CPD bonus. I didn't know about that, so that's good. Yeah, okay. I think we'll finish it there. So thank you very much. And we'll put this up on the website within a couple of days. So,
So easy. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, everyone.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
for coming.
Great.
Thanks.